check-in question for today. How do you think, in light of what's going on right now, we can engage in political conversations positively? Because I know there's a lot of negativity going on right now. So what do you think personally we can be doing? We can start with Allie, if that's okay. Or do you want to go end of the alphabet up?
I can go if you want me to.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, Allie's ready to go.
Okay, so I think it's kind of a tough question because I don't know, there is so much going on, and I feel like anytime you bring anything up, someone's gonna be offended by whatever you say. But something that I've been doing a lot with my friends is because we can't vote, there's no point in arguing over what who you would vote for. Not in that, I don't know how to explain this, but focusing on topics rather than people, because we can't vote. That probably does not make any sense. But that's kind of what I've been doing.
Awesome. Ava?
Yeah, kind of what Allie said. I am 3 months shy of being able to vote, so it's kind of frustrating, but it's kind of hard to support what other people are saying, but I guess just not shutting them down when they're talking, because I want to prove what I believe too. So kind of what Allie's saying, just talking about points rather than getting kind of heated with each other, especially if I'm not able to vote.
Awesome. Thank you. Daisy?
Mine is kind of the same as both of them. My friends and I don't talk about it that much because it's just something that creates a lot of conflict. Which I mean that kind of speaks to why we need our project. But I think definitely talking about topics and not the actual candidates, because the candidates are so polarizing, I feel is really helpful.
Awesome. Daniel?
Yeah, my friends actually talk about it a lot, except it's usually kind of one-sided. But as long as everyone is at least slightly informed and respects everyone's opinion, it most likely goes fine. Yeah, that's it.
Emma?
Yeah, mine is kind of similar. I mean, whenever I'm talking with my friends about it, I mean, we all share very similar views, so it's not really difficult. But I guess when I'm engaging with people who I might not agree with as much, just staying open, as hard as it is, but just listening to other people and hearing what they have to say really helps with keeping it more positive, I guess.
Graham?
I was going to say that a lot of us need to take a deep breath and kind of relax. There's just so much fear mongering about what world-shattering event this is. Of course, it's very important, but we have checks and balances, and we'll get through almost anything. People had the same talking points 4 years ago when Trump won, and we survived 4 years of Trump, so we'll be fine.
Harper?
Like Emma, most of my friends kind of have similar political views, so it's not too divisive. Obviously, I think it's important to not automatically attack someone if they have a certain political view, but I think it's okay. I've kind of strong opinions about who I support, so I don't think it's a bad thing if I stay fairly loyal to that. I'm not going to be overly nice and I understand your point if I don't agree with it, just because that'd be not lying, but that'd be kind of I don't know, going against my beliefs. So don't I guess don't yell and hit someone, but you can keep what you think, I guess.
Awesome. Julian?
Yeah, I actually am taking AP Gov this year. So it's been really fun. We've had a lot of discussions, not only about the candidates, but like also about how the voting is working and like why it's taking so long and like any changes we'll see. So I think it's been actually a very productive conversation in that class. And of course we have people on all sides because it's a fairly large class. So I don't know, I've really quite enjoyed it.
Kylie?
Okay, so I'm kind of like what some other people said. Me and my friends normally have pretty similar political views. So whenever we have conversations, things don't normally get very heated. But sometimes whenever I'm talking to someone who has like slightly different views than me, I think it's always important to like acknowledge where you agree and the things that you feel the same about so that you can then talk about the things you disagree with while having that like bridge keeping you together.
Lane?
Well, most important thing to keeping a conversation peaceful here, at least, and in my life, is definitely controlling your emotion. That's all it is, and it should go well.
Lauren?
Me and my friends, we talk about it quite a bit, and we all have like many different opinions. So I think it's important to, like everyone else has said, just keep an open mind and respect each other and stop at a certain point when it gets crazy and really heated. So.
Max, I know your mic or you have bad internet, so if you can type your answer, that'd be awesome. Maya? Sorry, that's my school bell.
Okay, my friends and I we're kind of split down the middle. We're kind of half and half on like our views and everything. So yeah, just kind of as everyone else has said, like we try not to talk too much about the candidates, but more like topical things. And that's really nice because like we all kind of respect each other and are able to like have good conversations about that. And I think when we have talked about like the election now, kind of more about like what's happening, not like, oh my gosh, I hope this happens or whatever it is. Just kind of being respectful of people around you, but still like, I don't know, open enough to have a conversation about stuff.
Michael?
Like everyone else, my friends and I pretty much have the same views, but it's like going to school and hearing all the different views is interesting, and it's important to keep an open mind just going into the conversations because not everyone has the same mindset as me and my friends, which is like they're allowed to think what they want, you know? So it's just trying to not only keep your peace, but have everyone else keep their peace, so.
Nina?
Yeah, same as everyone else. Like, I have the same views as my friends, but not everyone at school has the same views. So it's like, and I've seen my friends, like, when they cross paths with, like, other people that have different views, it often gets, like, super heated and, like, there's a lot of arguing going on and a lot of, like, finger pointing and stuff like that. And so, like, that's shown me, like, how important our project is and, like, how much, like, we really need to, like, have like a way to like have civil conversations and like it's just especially with teens like we get our emotions get in the way like what Lane was saying, and it's just like kind of like a barrier between like keeping the peace between the two sides and like hearing the other person out on like what they believe.
Awesome. Parrish?
So my friend group does not have the same opinions like throughout. We have a lot of different opinions, which all of us are respectful about it. So we all talk about it pretty frequently. But outside of our friend group in particular, I think there are a lot of people that are ready to block and hate you as a human being if you say Trump's hair looks good. So a lot of times our opinions aren't really shown outside of the group, but internally we do a lot of talking. But I think there's a lot of opinions that people hold that if you don't agree with them exactly, that they immediately hate you.
Peyton?
My friends mostly have similar political views. Like most of us do, but whenever I'm talking with people about politics, I try and like not, like Lane said, don't let your emotions get in the way. Sorry, that was a door. But just be like really considerate and kind of do your best to objectively review what their opinions are, because you got to understand that your opinions aren't the only right. That doesn't have to be the right answer. As in you know what I mean.
Toria?
Yeah, my friends also all think pretty alike, but I've found that it's helpful when there is conflict, that like to think critically on like my own political views and question like where they're coming from and what's impacting them, and like taking the conversation to where like I can grow on what I think.
Victor?
I think one important thing to keep in mind is like knowing when to like walk away from a conversation. Because like when you're talking with someone you agree with, obviously it's not that bad. But when you disagree with someone, you have to kind of like accept maybe you can't change their opinion and they can't change yours. So you just have to like respectfully end the conversation while like acknowledging where you disagree.
Eric, do you want to go?
So let's see, the agenda item, the question was, how can we engage in political conversations positively? I just feel like there's been a lot of good things said, like remaining respectful. And then I think one other thing that I probably do is like control my emotions. And even if it's something I'm super passionate about, like at least suppress that, because emotions are like kind of what mucks up like civil conversation.
Yeah, I think a lot of my friends share the same views as me, but I also I have friends who have different views. And I think one thing that I've kept in mind a lot this week is that I'm not trying to prove I'm right, but I'm also willing to listen to what they have to hear, and I'm not trying to change their mind either. So just keeping that in mind, that it's about the dialogue. It's not about convincing who is right and who's not. But like I'm the type of person who likes to learn new things, so I'm willing to hear people out. And I think that's just something that we need to convey. Adam or Emily, do you guys want to share?
You want to, Emily, or you want?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Sure. I think if the question is how we ourselves can engage in positively in political conversation, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the first thing we can do is check our own behavior. So for example, if you're one of those people that has like 15 political signs in your yard, and because you really, which is kind of like the sign equivalent of yelling, or if you need to have a big thing in your front yard, or you need to have something on your truck, a big banner, and you need to just wag it in everyone's face, maybe sheath your sword. Maybe that would help. Maybe that's the first thing, sheath your sword. Just relax. And then that's the second thing, is to take a deep breath and to really try to think, one, how much of a bubble am I in? Reflect on your own bubble and why it's that way. And then see how strongly you're influenced by it, and then realize other people are in their bubbles and try to have some compassion. And then, to keep things calm and to keep it in the voting booth. That's what it's all about. And then if you don't like the way things turned out this time, just remember, there's nothing in the immediate you could do about it. You need to start planting your seeds and start thinking long term and say, what does this say? If you're disappointed in the groups that supported this candidate or that candidate, well, what would help to help them reach a point of view you consider to be more enlightened in a way that is based on fact and reality? And that's another thing. If you're test who you're engaged with to see if they're a fact-based person, a reality-based person. It's okay to have an opinion, but just ask, okay, well, how would you back up that claim? And if they can't, then yes, politely, that's a great sign to walk away. I heard someone say this morning, that's what college education is for. A lot of people say it's like, oh, if you go to college, it'll make you live. I don't know about this or that, but I will say what it will make you do. It's hard to get out of college, to get through the college experience without backing up your claim. And somewhere along the way, if you can't back up what you say, you're not going to pass your exams. You're not going to get grades on your papers that are going to be passing. But you don't have to go to college to be that person. It's just a test of it. But be a person who insists on backing up what you say with real world data. That would really help to keep things calm, because anybody can sling mud and design to irritate and agitate. So, all right, I'm done. I know that was a very short answer.
Yeah, that was good. I don't have a lot to add. The only thing I can speak to is maybe what I have been doing. Some of that is intentionally, and some of that is just by virtue of my life situation. And I think one of the ways we can engage in political conversations positively is two things: more diversity of voices, and also less voices, knowing when to turn the voices off. So I think probably one of the biggest problems that we have is that there's just too much information out there. I don't know if people would agree with that, but I just think sitting in front of our constant news cycle 24/7 is polluting our brain. And it stirs up emotion. It stirs up all that negative stuff. So, and then I think hearing from news sources that are varied, like not just watching Fox News or not just watching CNN, or maybe different news outlets too. Maybe not just like maybe a newspaper journalists who are writing articles versus a report, and mixing it up a little bit. So anyway, but also I think turning some of it off. This is big, but this is not what your life is about. It's big, but for the most part, you're still going to go to school. You're still going to do your day-to-day. The relationships in your inner circle are what matter most. So that's all.
Awesome. So thank you to everyone who shared their responses on this discussion question. So remember from last week on Sunday, we left off on a discussion about alignment and some of the, and so Edie and I, we just wanted to get a quick check on your alignment. Here's a link to a form. It's just like 1 through 5. Just take like 1 minute to fill it out, but basically it's in the chat. And just like 1 is the least aligned and like 5 is most aligned for like the incorporation of the video and the simulation. Just like a quick check on like what you guys think that is, so we can determine whether or not that's something that we need to work on and like dedicate our effort to. So yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, just keep in mind, like, how aligned do you feel that they are together and aligned with our purpose? Because this is obviously something that we had some conflict over, I guess. So I think we still need to work through it a little bit.
But yeah, so the goal is we obviously want the optimal alignment for both aspects of the project, the video and the simulation, so that we can conclude with a project that fulfills the purpose and achieves all of our outcomes. And so we'd just like to do an alignment check to check what you guys think about that. So let me see if any results. Okay, 16 responses. A majority are saying 3. Some people are saying 4. Okay. So it looks like, actually, I guess I can share my screen. You guys can see it pop up live or something. But this is what it's looking like right now. So 6 people said our alignment's at a 4. A lot of people said 9. I mean, 9 people said it's at a 3. 2 people said it was at a 2. No, wait, no. 2 people said it was at a 1. One person said it was at a 5, and one person said it was at a 2. So, I mean, looking at this, it sounds like a lot of people are unsure about the integration. So it looks like a lot of people are unsure about how the 2 groups are integrated. But yeah, what do you guys think as you're looking at this data?
Yeah, elaborate on why you said what you said, maybe.
I put 4 because I thought I was kind of confident, I guess, or it kind of made sense to me, like how our projects would line up. And I guess I thought of from what Adam was saying when we were doing the checking question about like it's important to like back up your sources, and like if you don't back up your sources, then like it's harder for people to listen to you just because you don't. I don't know. It's just harder for people to listen to you since you don't have any evidence or background. And I kind of thought I could be misinterpreting what the videos would be, but I kind of thought the videos would be like the evidence or the backup. Not that like every single person that would do the simulation in theory would be completely unaware of everything political, but I was thinking that it would like give people like, because if during the simulation it's like discussion or dialogue, like Adam said, you need like stuff to back up that discussion or dialogue, and also the actors he said would like help a little bit, but I think it'd be good if we gave like the participants some like knowledge so they could like have their own evidence that they already have in them. And I guess I kind of thought of the videos as something that would provide that evidence, not completely or anything, because it's not going to talk about every single aspect of every topic, but just a nice background.
At least in the last call, my like breakout group, I guess, seemed to have been pretty good about everything we had going on. We all seemed like we were on the same page, what was happening, and it seemed like we were headed in the right direction. But I don't really want to poke any bears here, but I heard the other breakout room didn't go as smoothly, and I really don't know why. And I'm curious to know why, because I still have yet to get a debrief about why one breakout room was a little more hectic while one was very on the same page. So I would love to hear a little more from the other group about what went down in that breakout room, because I feel like we still don't know what happened.
I agree with Parrish. I was like, I thought it was going well, but then I heard that there was like some strife going on. And I was like, oh, like what's going on? But I don't know. I'm kind of confused now.
I was in the other room and I put a 3 on like the survey we just took because I felt really good about like the incorporation of the 2 parts whenever we were like in the middle of like our breakout rooms and we were like putting stuff on the sticky notes on Miro and like coming up with ways to incorporate them. But then at the end it was like good the whole time, but then at the end it just got into like some questions that like were bringing up conflict.
What questions were the ones stirring conflict?
I'll just give a quick overview, I guess. Actually, no, I won't. If someone else from it, I don't want to control it, but I just want to see what other people say.
Yeah, let's some other people from the committee. That's great. Let's hear what they have to say.
I was in that group. I can talk. So basically, Emily made the point that they were kind of accomplishing 2 very different goals that kind of didn't align with our original goal, and that like it just seems like one of the groups needs to make a compromise to make the outcome look the same as like for each group. So like either the video committee needs to focus their videos on like having good political conversations, or the simulation committee needs to make their simulation focused around educating people on politics?
And did the group, I wasn't there, did the group get a chance to reach middle ground on that? Because I get that, you know, everything starts with beginning points. You know, your parents start here for curfew and you're like, well, I need to move you over here. And so sometimes it's a negotiation, but sometimes it's not. We're seeing this happen in our live politically. So I get that. People start on the polls. What I want to know is, did your discussion group get to the point where you said, okay, well, let's get away from what our positions are and let's see what's our interests, what are our mutual interests, because that's a very key point. And so let me ask that, did the group do that? Or was it not quite? Sometimes it takes time. Or would you say the group kind of just stayed with either, you know, you move over here, well, no, you guys got to move over here?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like we didn't really reach an agreement on that, because I think a lot of people, I don't know, like from specific committees or whatever, I think a lot of people were feeling like even though the two steps of the project had different purposes, they, like, the way that they fit together reached our overall goal. And so I think there was just confusion with that, but no, I didn't feel like we kind of get to a resolution with that, because we were at that point over time. So we were just like, we're just going to let this settle and see how we feel.
Cool. Anybody have anything else to add or any other questions about what happened in the group?
Kind of a guiding question. How do you feel that the videos directly accomplish our purpose? And do you think that how do you think that they add value to the simulation? I truly just want to hear directly, because I think we need to realign.
I think that depends on like what I like brought this up during that breakout room talk. Like, it depends on what we're saying is our purpose statement, because it changed whenever we decided that we were gonna do a simulation. Like, originally it was like more about like getting teens to be educated and involved, and then it shifted to just civil discourse. And the video idea was they're like the week before or whatever. So I don't think the purpose statements were ever fully aligned. I still think that the videos contribute the knowledge to the participants of the simulation that they need to engage in it properly. So I do think that it still works, but I don't think that the purpose statements have ever been perfectly aligned.
So how can we make sure that they align together? Because we're both working hand in hand, but I think we started working separately, and so we made progress away from each other. And I think that maybe we need to take a step back and take our first step together, because I think that that's causing some conflict, that we both started out differently. Sorry, I know there's voices behind me.
Yeah, and I just want to also do a check on terms. So yes, they can have their own purposes, the videos and the simulation, but essentially they are methods meant to produce the outcomes. They should be producing shared outcomes. They might be producing them in different ways. Like maybe videos can produce outcomes, like Parrish was saying in chat. Maybe the videos can do something that the simulations can't do, and the simulations can do something that the videos can't do. And that's right. That's exactly right. Because if you only have one way to get a thing accomplished, you're limited. So, but they should be pushing to the same outcomes. That should definitely be clear. We need to make sure we're aligned on that. What are the outcomes that simulation is shooting for? And that should be consistent with what the project, before you even selected videos or simulation, the outcomes of what the simulations do should be consistent with the project, and the outcomes the video accomplish should be consistent with the project, and the outcomes of both should be consistent with the purpose that we all set out. So I like that Emily was asking to bring up the purpose statement. It's wonderful. That's what purpose is for. It's really for times like this when you're like, wait a minute, where are we, and how do we orient myself? How do I orient myself? And how do we orient to each other? Because it's easy for groups to drift apart. It's easy for a country to drift apart. Your topic is all about that. This is a cool gesture for drifting apart too, if you think about it. But anyway, so that.
Okay. I feel like the videos and simulation, like someone said earlier, they work together. Like I feel like we need both of them to achieve our purpose. And you can't doing the simulation without having background info on the topic you're discussing is not going to get anywhere. And just learning about the topic won't get you anywhere through video. So I feel like they're kind of co-reliant on each other to reaching our purpose, which I think that's okay. I still feel like they work together. And I'm kind of confused on what the issue is if we're going to have the videos to give the information and simulation to give an outlet for discussion. Oh, yeah, what Graham said.
A lot of things have been going on in the chat. Would you guys like me to summarize? Adam?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and summarize what's in chat, that'd be great. We'll take a minute to do that. I love the flow of conversation. It's fantastic.
Okay, so we pasted the purpose statement. And then so it's basically we want teens to understand their ability to impact the political landscape and use that ability to positively affect their daily lives. And so then Victor briefly said, based on that statement, the videos would be a great way to accomplish that. And he gives examples of how. I'm not sure. Okay, so it says it could still be used, but I'm not sure what it is. Are you talking about the purpose statement or? Parrish, you said, yeah, I agree with Victor. It could still be used, but it doesn't seem to align with our current plan. Do you remember what you meant by it?
Yeah, I was talking about the original purpose statement, and I think Max said a very valuable point. He was saying how the two committees don't exactly have to go for the exact same outcome because the project as a whole is going for that. So I think what I just said actually isn't disagreeing at all. That I think if we have one main purpose statement and then almost two like sub-purpose statements of recognizing the goals of each part of the project and why they work independently, if we had the exact same goal precisely, that kind of separates us and like kind of shows redundancy if we're doing the exact same thing. So if we kind of deliberately said the reasoning for the separation and what the goal of each independent group is, and Max agrees with me, so I think I am voicing what his thought was there. So I think we agree that if we kind of split and to completely recognize what the goal is of each group under the main purpose statement, that would be beneficial. It seems, at least.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify when I first asked the question about alignment and purpose. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise. I didn't mean to seem one-sided. I think I'm having the most trouble with working the scenarios in the simulation. I want to make progress, but I'm having a hard time knowing what specific curriculum and points need to be made for the SPs. And I know that the video aspect is still in development, so it's kind of hard to find, like, to write what needs to be said. So I don't know, like I feel kind of on pause in the simulation group, and I'm not really sure how to move forward. So I think that's where I was searching for some clarity.
I actually do agree with that. I mean, I feel like we are kind of on pause because we're waiting for emails to get back. But as far as I need to check, but I don't know if we've even gotten any back. So I agree with you, Edie. I mean, I understand it. You can't write a simulation without having a topic to write it about.
Maya, do you mean to have your hand up?
Oh, that was from earlier. I was just gonna say when we were talking about purpose statements and stuff and like how we've kind of moved to like civil discourse. And I don't think that civil discourse is really like, I don't think that the simulation only fits civil discourse and that the videos are like a separate purpose statement. Like I think that could still be kind of the central focus of our overall topic, because like discourse is like being able to have a communication, a dialogue or debate or whatever, and you have to like have that background information and like know about the topics and have your view on the topics to be able to talk about them. So I kind of always saw the project as like the videos are like how we get informed on the topics, especially like the local issues that people might not know about as much. And then the simulation is where we practice good like debate skills and like where we learn what healthy dialogue is. And then those two pieces together is what kind of creates that overall outcome. But that's kind of going back in the conversation. But yeah, sorry, I meant to put my hand down.
I was just gonna say that I'm not like completely hating on the videos aspect because I'm in that group, but I never really got the goal of showing the videos because I know personally I wouldn't want to sit through and just watch videos on how to learn things. I'd rather do something more tangible and in person that I can actually go through. So that was just maybe like me spitballing, but that was like my thought process.
Adam, did you want to say something? You unmuted.
Well, so I just took a minute just to reflect inwardly, just to kind of think about where to go from here. And it doesn't seem too far off where we need to be. I see that the simulations require a more of a build because you have to draft them and then you're working with a partner on it and they have to decide if they can deliver those simulations, if that's going to be a good deliverable for their different audiences. And then so it takes going back and forth. With videos, I know there's different levels of production on a video. Like a high production video, that does also require a lot of development. But if we're talking about more the kind of authentic, homegrown kind of videos, I think they're very flexible and fluid, meaning you can do lots of different kinds of videos. There's some videos that require much more integration, like getting guests and interviewing them and then editing it into a reel that makes sense and is truthful to the point you're making and what the interviewee said. And then there's ones that are reaction videos where you just turn on a camera and you talk, and then there's a lot in between. And so couldn't there be some videos that are much more geared toward the simulation and other videos that are geared maybe toward political issues or whatever? So I just think that there's a lot of coherence possible here, that it shouldn't seem like a sticking point, is just my sense of reflecting on it.
Anyone have anything to comment on what Parrish just said in the chat? But before, wait, No, there's lots of stuff going on. It would be a point of relatively drastic shift, so we shouldn't push.
Graham, did you want to?
Yeah, I was going to build off of Parrish's point. I'm not suggesting that this is the path we should take, but just to play devil's advocate, what might the videos look like if we were to solely focus on civic discourse and political discussions rather than the actual topics we're focusing on now? Any ideas from the simulation committee?
That's kind of what I was going to touch on. I don't think that we need that, like the specific topics need to be completely removed. I think that's drastic. But like Adam was saying, you know, as you build the questions for the interview, I think it's important and I think it's beneficial to ask them about discourse and conversations in their career. And I think it adds on to the discussion you're already having with them.
I think that, so like, I know right now we're thinking of like having one or two civil discourse like interviews that are like regardless of any of the topics. And then my problem with what Grant said earlier, like only providing like information statistics is like, that stuff you can just like find on Google. That's stuff that's like not special to the interviewer. But what we can do is have like our questions in each individual topic still related to civil discourse. It doesn't have to be purely informational. That way we can like talk about like how to have civil discourse over issues like climate change. It doesn't just have to be like this like super generic civil discourse video. We can actually like talk about how to have civil discourse within each individual topic. That way we can still like provide some of the information about the topic without getting too like opinionated, and then teach the teams how to use that information in conversation.
That's true. And also, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, civic discourse may look different in different topics. You know, talking about climate change could go differently from talking about healthcare. I don't know. That's not really a very big point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think everything that's been said is accurate, and I think it needs to be said. I think, and this isn't anyone's fault. This is more just like you've sent out the emails, but we haven't heard back yet, and so we don't really know what specific topics. You know, from what I gathered from my breakout room on Sunday, the simulation like civil conversation would be about one of the specific topics, and that would probably be one of the stronger topics that the video group felt provided a lot of information. But where we are right now,
I'm sorry, real quick, just in the conversation, Daisy's made a point and Maya's agreed with it, and I just have to say I don't know what the I want to be sensitive to the point. I think there's something more to it than I'm understanding, so I want to unpack that. So what is it you're agreeing with, Maya?
I was just kind of, for what I thought Daisy was saying was that, like, as far as the topics, like some of them, as if we don't hear back, are still like capable of not being a part of the project. But I think kind of what Edie was saying, like we're in a tough spot because we haven't heard back from these emails and stuff, but they have just been sent out like recently. But I think we're in a tough spot because if we decide to drop the emails, there's these like 40 or so people that we've emailed about a project. And then if we don't end up using a topic, that's why I was just a little bit confused on like what the plan was with that. And I'm not saying anything's like decided or that's the way we're going.
Got it. All right, cool. And then Daisy, when you said you're confused, tell me more about your statement.
I don't really know how to elaborate on it. Like, so whenever like the idea was proposed, like this is like always been the idea, and then whenever we like decided that we were gonna pursue both at the same time, we knew that like both of them were like, we knew that we were pursuing them like separately. Like I feel like we.
Yeah, I hear you. There's a frustration there because it's like, tell me if this is right or wrong, but it's like we agreed we were going to go in this direction, so we were going in this direction, and then it's like this new shiny thing came along, and And so were we supposed to then divert everything we were doing to the new angle of the simulation? And if so, why? And was there conversation about it? And, you know, and I want to get clear on that before we go further. Is that anywhere accurate, or how would you adjust what I said?
Yeah, I mean, I like at the time, like whenever we all agreed that like we were gonna like pursue both of the different like methods together and like try to like work them together, like I like agreed, like I thought that that was smart because people were passionate about both things. um but now, like, to talk about like really having to like alter one like part of the project, like whether it's the simulation or the videos, like that just seems that like that's something that we should have known. I feel like we knew like what both of the like what both parts were, and we just knew that we'd have to like incorporate them together, and that's what we're doing. But like we're not going, I don't know.
Yeah, so because I thought I understood where things were. It was like I thought it was just it was a legitimate frustration that, hey, we were going down this road and then we're supposed to swerve, but that wasn't coordinated well. But then towards the end, I kind of lost you a little bit, because are you saying that then the committee actually should adjust what it's doing?
I don't know what I'm saying at this point.
Okay, all right.
I'm just,
But
like I said,
this is important, because it's the frustration that keeps people from uniting. And that's what we're seeing nationally. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
It's the emotionality that's brought forth. Because if you really think about what do people want, there's so much more alignment. What we're all getting all boiled up about, and what our emotions are getting all boiled up about, is all agitation and designed to do it that way. It's all designed for us to get all emotional and frustrated about it and hate our enemies emotionally, and then to feel insulted by our enemies to weaken us. It's all psychological warfare, and we're all falling for it. It really is. So when you can get rid of the clouds of frustration and emotionality, allow people to express what's true for them, then we can get to the ground of reality. But between the ground of reality is emotion, and that's used to distort perception. And perception, despite popular belief, is not reality. Perception is not reality. It's almost the exact if almost there was something opposite of reality, it would be perception. Perception feels like reality, and that's what makes people act out on the emotionality. There's no reality going on of we're under attack and tomorrow. It's all boiling up, and they're this and your opponent's that, and it's reducing them to its and not thous. It's reducing them to objects. We've seen it over and over. We're just falling for it again. But bringing it back to the cohort, it's just true too. There's politics happening in the cohort. I will say this is a very political cohort. It's one of the most political cohorts I've experienced. It's just a statement. It's just, well, actually, I would love there to be a conversation about what I just said at some point. But we are political creatures, so it's nothing to be even insulted about. Our nature is political. You see how easily we get wrapped up into it. And what we are is a leadership program. And so if you get sucked into the drama of someone else, you're a follower. If you're somebody that can reduce the drama, you're a leader. And what I'm hoping is your project helps reduce the drama that's going on. We need it. And I'm really hoping for an out of the mouths of babes kind of effect. Do you know what I mean by that? That it's you as the young people who don't even have the right to vote yet are the ones saying, please, please, would you end the drama? Can we get to a way to have discourse that's meaningful and productive and leads to thriving for everybody? Can we do that? Or are we going to do the Civil War thing that everybody's trying to amp up? Not everybody. Some extremely malicious, dangerous types are trying to make it sound like. There's a war over what? You know, so we gotta tamp things down and learn how to do it. And I think you all can do it. You all can be leaders in this, and that's what we're looking for. I think that's what your project could be. And so here, you aren't that far off. You make the videos. They're your videos. You decide what videos to make. No one's gonna make you make them. They're your videos. It's your cohort. But align and make videos that make sense. Don't go and put all your resources into videos if you don't know that it's gonna achieve an outcome. Well, for one reason, it's a waste of resources. Make video and you won't get your outcomes. Instead, make videos that will. Don't just do simulations for the sake of doing simulations. Do simulations that will reach those outcomes. There's a lot of resources going into it. You all have the capability to get there, and I'll stop with that. I've said a lot of stuff. Thanks for hearing me out.
I just want to say I like some of the questions that Graham was talking about in the chat, about focusing on questions such as what is something most people misunderstand in their field, or what discussions do we need to be having in order to make progress. So like kind of talking about the discourse within their job.
I'm going to say, though, you can't say I'm not meaning to call someone out and then call them out. But Michael, do you want to share anything about, just speak like what's your point of view? Where you
so Paris, you're fine, by the way. It didn't bother me. Yeah, it's completely okay. But I was just thinking about, like, whenever we first picked this topic, the whole purpose of it was to make teens feel confident in their ability to have civil discussions. And I feel like we've completely strayed away from that. And I know the simulation's doing things with that, and that's great. And I know we can't make our entire project on that, but still just like sitting here, like thinking like I'm not even confident whenever I am in political discussions. And I was talking with Adam, we had a call, and it was just like, that's a big part of like what needs to be happening. Cause like, yes, they can, I mean, I just know if I were to show this to someone like a teen, they would not want to sit through videos and sit there and listen to someone talk about their field. Like, they don't care. And that's completely okay. We can't make people care, but it's like, I know something more tangible would be better, not only just for like, I mean, whatever, I'm rambling, but I just feel like we need to focus more. I mean, having the topics is great, but we don't need that many topics. If we were to give them like maybe 2 topics to learn how to like civilly discuss about, then they could have big classroom discussions or something like that, just so they can learn how to talk in both small groups and big groups, and just learn how to like get those gears going and what to say and what not to say. And I don't know, I just feel like we're just spiraling down like we've always done with everything else. So
okay, so that's a lot there too that you said. So basically you're saying you are not on board with the issues, and you are on board with the skills. And is the concern that, well, that she should have spoken up sooner, or what is the concern with that view that she has? I mean, is it okay to feel that way, or is it like, well, no, that's a problem?
No, I have no problem with somebody bringing up an issue now. I mean, some people said that like we've had the points for a while, which is true, but I think if you disagree, then you should speak up at any point in time if you want to change it. But what my curiosity stands right now in is Michael saying that we're gonna like have conversations and then have them learn to like make them better. But I'm curious where a lot of the learning is going to come from. Are we just going to have facilitated conversations that are just going to be a lot of focus on learning? Because that's a lot of work too, to host that all through like the leaders that are running it. I think a lot of like the very intentional questions from the videos were going to be a lot of the like introspective learning of like recognizing how these like better questions can be asked rather than just pointing fingers all the time, which is where a lot of the learning from the videos comes forth. Which is why I think it's so important, because I think if we're really going to have them learn and make the conversation better, we need the videos for that. And I'm curious, if we didn't have the videos, where would the learning come in? Like how would them better.
And I just want to time out on that point real quick, because it sounds like maybe there's some more understanding of what the simulations are and how they work too. I think that would really help, because then, you know, if we're going to integrate the videos with the simulations, that would be a really important thing. So let me just check that, and then whoever has an answer to Parish's specific question about that, then feel free. But let me just check. Does everybody understand how the simulations work and how let me just check that real quick.
Adam, can I ask a clarifying question real quick? Do you mean how the specific like written simulations work, or how the overall idea of a simulation would fit in with our project? And
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, what the experience of the simulation is, because it's not like it's not a discussion. It's not even a facilitated discussion. It's actually like you're acting out the experience. You will be like put in the role of being in a, like, maybe, I don't know, can you give an example of one of the simulations, one of the topics, and that'll give a great example of what would happen? You'd be in a role. Somebody on simulation.
Lane. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll talk about one of my favorites before, but overall, the goal of the simulation is all civil discourse, like how to have civil conversation. That's all it is. And personally, my favorite one is the one where like the situation gets really heated, and the goal is just to walk away, like to not get involved in a really heated conversation that can't be recovered, like it's just lost. And it's based off of one scene in Monty Python. I love it. It's hilarious. But like you're having a debate with this simulation participant as an SP, and they're contradicting everything you say. Like no matter what you say, they're just saying the complete opposite, and they're trying to get on your nerves. Like that's their goal. And then they're going to get angry, and that's the goal of the participant, to like turn around and walk away. And that's like practicing the skill to, like, if a conversation gets heated, not to like contribute to the heat, to just like let the heat die down. And there are many others that talk about different aspects of civil discourse. Like, for example, there's one like bringing the heat down without walking away. There's one with keeping the heat low, like without even escalating it. There are different ones about like different situations, like with family, with friends, with peers. It includes everything. And I'm also going to contribute like my view on how the videos and the simulation intertwine is that what I thought was that it'd be one central focus, like one central topic throughout the entire simulation, and just implement all of the different civil discourse skills for that one topic. And it could be varied. Like we could have lots of topics, and there's a new one every simulation run. So yeah, that's what I thought.
I just want to add, so what Lane said, I think he did a really great job of explaining that. And so basically, to clarify, like the SP, as we build the scenarios, we are building how the SP, the simulated participant, is supposed to act with the people going through the simulation. So if they're supposed to disagree with everything you say, or if they're supposed to try to keep it calm, but then we also give the SP enough information to give the participant feedback at the end. So they've learned about the civil conversation skills, and then they can in turn be like, okay, you did a really great job of reflecting on what I said before you spoke up, or you did a really great job of I guess like hearing my points and then talking through them or asking questions. Or they can say, okay, like next time do better in this and this. So you're getting feedback from someone that understands the simulation while walking through it.
Okay, so then back to Parish's question, and correct me if I'm wrong, Parish, is then where does the education come in? Where does the participant get educated? Because they're getting an experience, and yes, that's educational too, but where else would they get it? And so is there a debrief? Is there something that's happens before you even go get assigned a role and go and do a simulation? Yeah, and then Lane, you'll get this. And then on the back end, is there something that happens afterwards? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So we have this on the Miro board. It's where last time we were drafting how we could intertwine the two. And our visualization in my committee was that at first we begin with like the video, the topic video, that the specific topic that's going to be covered in the whole simulation that's going to be over. It's going to begin with that video. It's going to begin with, because they're also interviewing speech and debate teachers, it's going to begin with how to have a civil conversation in court with speech and debate, like how that's supposed to work. It's going to go over like basics, rules, in person, and like introduction. And then they go through the simulation. And then at the very end, there's also an in-person debrief discussing like what they've learned, like discussing how it can be applicable to any topic, not just the one they've covered. And like what's the significance, what's the relevance in the political situation today.
Okay, good. So Parrish, ask your question again, and then let's take it from there. I just needed to make sure that people understood what is meant by simulation, and then go ahead, Parrish, take it from there.
Yeah, just to reiterate what the question was originally, I guess, was just what point does the learning come in with the simulation and the videos, and are they co-reliant, I guess, on giving the different kinds of learning, or are we going to have a lot of the learning coming from the videos or from the simulation for that matter, or is it going to be happening in both? And then this could be wrong, but I think one of the best ways we can measure that is if the participants feel that after they go through the simulation once, if they came back to do it again, that it would run smoother, that they could go through a similar situation like in real life, I guess, and have it all run better. So that was, I guess, the original question.
Good. Lane, you had your hand up too, but I want to hear from some other voices as well. But Lane, if you have a response to that. And then also, I don't want to be a stickler, but like there's a lot of cameras starting to get turned off, and I don't know, it reaches a point where it's just weird. So unless you've cleared it ahead of time, I'd love to keep cameras on. If that could be our norm, I'd appreciate that. And I know there's times where you have to go off camera. Totally get that. No problem at all. All right. So
Okay, so in response to that, I believe learning occurs in both, in the videos and in the simulation, because when you watch the videos, you like get an overview of like the topics. You're like learning like potential discussion issues over that topic. You're learning like all the stuff that the video wants to include. And when you go through the simulation, you're having the experiential learning. This is the experiential component that we've been talking about for so long. And by experiencing what you're doing and by practicing it, you're like cementing it into your memory. And yeah, that's what's happening. I also address the second part where you're like, if they go through it again, it'll be smoother. That should happen. But like, there's also like different topics. So it could be a little different, it could be varied. And they should know the skills, like how to have a civil discussion, but like each outcome will look a little different depending on what they believe in a given topic and like what they know about a given topic.
and let me just ask from anybody's perspective, from people working on videos, how are you feeling about this conversation, you know, and where it's at? And
I just wanted to say, I think what Lane said made me feel a lot better. I'm in the video committee, but the way he explained it definitely made it feel like the videos weren't just kind of like a side thing, kind of an afterthought kind of deal. Like I think the videos definitely have value in that they give like one aspect of the learning, and then the simulation is that experiential learning where you put it into practice and like are able to form your opinions and like be able to learn how to talk about the topics. And I think they're both useful, and I think we just need to do a better job of like integrating them. But what he said definitely made me feel better.
I definitely agree with what Maya said and what Lane said. I don't think that, I mean, we could just have like just the videos are just a simulation, but I think they go hand in hand. I think they go together really well. What they're saying, like, I don't think just going through the simulation would be, I think it would be like fun and interesting, but I don't think that they would remember a lot like more than 2 weeks after doing it, if that makes sense. But I think that if there are videos, they could be like, oh yeah, like I learned that from, that's just how I am personally. And then if it was just videos, I think like kind of what Michael was saying, like it would be kind of boring. But I think that having both, I just think that they go really well together. And I think that they need each other to thrive. Like they count on each other.
So, how do you think it's best to move forward? And I want to hear from a few different people on this because I'm sure that there's different ideas.
I don't know if this would make anyone else feel better about the integration, but if we could just like pick a scenario and pick a video topic and just like at least get one idea put together, like a concrete example.
I just wanted to say sorry. I know I've kind of talked a little bit, but I agree with what Victor was just saying. Like I think the activity that we were doing on Mirror Board when I think it was our SPS when we did break into those two groups. I think that was really useful, and we never kind of got to break down the ideas that we got from that because I think there were some really good starting points on how to integrate the two together in that.
Do we want to take the opportunity to discuss that now?
It might also be possible the group should say if a break is needed, you know, just a little 5-minute AFK, get some fresh air. It's really awesome outside. I'll ride my unicycle around the block. Just do that. I think we're at a really good spot, and I'd like people to think about this. You know, I haven't seen any of the Monty Python movies, but I understand there's a scene with a knight who kind of has a little dismemberment thing happening where, you know, and he's like, it's just a flesh wound, you know, and see, the way I think of it is that simulations like the knight, but without arms and legs, he's not going anywhere. And so the videos are the knight too. The knight needs both. The knight cannot exist without the two. That was a very, very awkward metaphor, but it's really true. I think you have the chance to create a super amazing product. If you just created great videos on its own, it would be an awesome project. If you just created a great simulation, it'd be an awesome project. But you have the chance to do both in an integrated way where someone can get enticed to come into a simulation because of some amazing videos that got people thinking. And then they left the simulation with these videos that they could go back to that would reinforce the learning, or hear from experts or political leaders who are reinforcing the skills. And that, you know, there's an educational component of enlightening people about the issues, but then there's an education aspect of the skills that people are developing, which is what we need in the end. We need people to know how to bring people, to calm the temperatures and bring people more into dialogue. So I think let's just think of ways for them to work together on that and create something really cool that couldn't have been created otherwise.
But first, you suggested we take a break. 5 minutes?
Yeah, if the group wants one?
Yeah. So I think we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll probably, sorry, really a lot of background noise. We'll probably stray from the schedule a little bit because I think we can't go to work time right now and be productive. So I think we'll take a break and come back.
welcome back, everybody. Adam, are you still riding your unicycle?
Probably. Derek, I just made you the host.
Okay. So Adam asked us to, hold on, I'm still chewing this banana, I'm sorry. So before we left for our break, Adam asked us to reflect on, Parrish is here. He has 2 bites of food left. Okay. Adam asked us to reflect on our thoughts about the conversation that we just had, how we feel about the integration and like what it would be, what it would look like moving forward and how we feel about that with this integration. So if anyone has any comments that they want to share, yeah, raise your hand or something, or mute yourself.
Lane mentioned this. I don't know if it's exactly the part of the question you were thinking about, but right before we left, we were talking about like MVP for like both sides of the project. And like he said, we were thinking of doing education just because Graham's mom, that's someone we can kind of access easily. So that'd probably be like one of the main topics we would consider just because it's the most like efficient and easy to get access to for the simulation / videos.
I think it would be beneficial, like just talking about MVPs, to have kind of an MVP of like both sides and how they come together. Like if we were going to do education, kind of have a simulation scenario that fits that as an MVP. And I think that would like kind of show us what a good, like how we could integrate something better for like the other topics.
I agree with Maya. That conversation made me feel better, like to answer that part of the question. And then I think that, like next we should definitely like talk about like what we were doing originally in the breakout rooms last week, like how we're gonna integrate them, and then like work on like starting to like get MVPs so that we can like really see how it's gonna work together.
Okay. Awesome. So like just building off of everyone's comments, we're going to do just that. We're going to break out into smaller breakout rooms, so like 3 this time. And kind of going off of what Victor said earlier, we're going to have them create like an MVP of like combining one issue or like one video with one simulation scenario. And then we're going to make sure this time, unlike last week, we're going to make sure this time to come back into a big group and share all those things so that we can get more clarity on that.
I mean, really get creative about how these 2 things could integrate. A simulation which allows you to go deeper with people and I mean, it's a luxury. When people go through these simulations, they're getting to train in a way they would never be able to before. You know, to be able to feel an emotional intensity and then be like, wow, what do I do now? To not have to do it in a live setting first is beneficial. That's why this is used all the time in medicine and more in medicine. That's why OU has set up a simulation center, you know? I mean, they invested, you guys saw it over the course of your meetings. They were tearing out the parking lot. They put in that new building over there. What was that going to be? That's the simulation center, the Tandy Center out by where the picnic tables are. Isn't that nice to remember where we used to remember when we used to meet in person? Anyway, so when you get to your breakout rooms, really do think about quality and building an experience for people that is meaningful and educational, like actually really going to make a difference on this. So, and then I want to ask this too. You know, I know there's a lot of side conversations like texting that are happening in the big room. And I get that to a degree because it's hard to maintain focus with 25 people all focused. I get that. But in breakout rooms, it's going to kill the conversations. You see what I mean? And it's a numbers game. When you have, you know, just one or two people, minds elsewhere in a side conversation, you killed the conversation. So actually really during breakouts, engage that way and see what you guys could come up with. So, and I was also vamping to give Derek and Edie a chance to decide on groups and stuff and breakouts. But any response to anything I said in the meantime? We good? I mean, like about the breakout thing, is that an okay agreement? Okay, cool. If someone messages you from within the cohort, just say, hey, yeah, we'll chat about it later or something. No big deal. All right, good. And by the way, 10 people just messaged me